Millionaire takes sick daughter to hospital. He's shocked when he sees who the doctor is. Before we jump in, leave a comment if heart-led actions matter to you. Enjoy the story. The crystal chandeliers cast dancing shadows across the marble floor of the Reed Corporation's annual charity gala. Nathan Reed stood at the edge of the ballroom, his tailored black suit pristine, his smile practiced and hollow. At 40, he had everything money could buy: a pharmaceutical empire worth hundreds of millions, a mansion overlooking the city, respect from peers who feared his business acumen. But none of it filled the emptiness that had consumed him since Sarah's death 3 years ago. "Daddy, can we go home now?" The small voice cut through his thoughts like a lifeline. Nathan looked down at his 9-year-old daughter, Olivia. Her light brown curls were perfectly arranged, her navy blue dress carefully chosen to match his tie. But her face was pale, and he could see the exhaustion in her deep, intelligent eyes. She had always been a quiet child, preferring books to parties, introspection to the superficial chatter that surrounded them tonight. "Just a little longer, sweetheart," Nathan said, kneeling to her level. "Daddy needs to finish talking to some important people." Olivia nodded, understanding beyond her years. She had learned early that her father's work came first, that their life together was scheduled around board meetings and pharmaceutical conferences. It wasn't that Nathan didn't love her, he did desperately. But love and presence were two different things, and presence required a vulnerability he had buried with his wife. The evening continued with its predictable rhythm. Nathan networked with pharmaceutical executives, signed symbolic checks for children's hospitals, and delivered a speech about innovation in medical technology. All the while, Olivia sat quietly at their reserved table, occasionally sipping ginger ale and watching the adults with the keen observation that came from spending too much time alone. It was during the dessert course when everything changed. Nathan was deep in conversation with a potential investor when he heard it, a sound that made his blood freeze. A harsh, wheezing gasp that he knew too well. He turned to see Olivia clutching the edge of the table, her small chest heaving as she struggled for breath. "Olivia!" Nathan's voice cut through the ballroom chatter as he rushed to her side. Her lips had taken on a bluish tint and her eyes were wide with the panic that comes when your body betrays you. The practiced businessman disappeared, replaced by a terrified father. Nathan scooped Olivia into his arms, her small body frighteningly light and fragile. "Call 911, he shouted, but even as the words left his mouth, he knew he couldn't wait. The nearest hospital was only 8 minutes away if he drove himself. "Sir, we should wait for the paramedics," his assistant began. "No." Nathan's voice was raw with desperation. "I'm not losing her too." He carried Olivia through the stunned crowd, her breathing becoming more labored with each passing second. The valet brought his car around and Nathan carefully placed her in the passenger seat, her small hand gripping his with surprising strength. The drive to Mercy General Hospital was a blur of red lights and racing thoughts. Nathan found himself making bargains with a God he wasn't sure he believed in anymore. Please, not her. Take anything else, but not her. The emergency room doors slid open with a mechanical whisper that seemed unnaturally loud in Nathan's panicked state. The familiar antiseptic smell hit him immediately, a scent that once brought comfort during his medical school days, but now only reminded him of loss. Nathan burst through the ER doors carrying Olivia. "My daughter can't breathe." The triage nurse directed them to room 3. Dr. Alice Monroe emerged, her blonde hair in a ponytail, green scrubs wrinkled from her shift. Their eyes met across the chaos. 15 years since Nathan had last seen those blue eyes. 15 years since his father had ended their relationship because she was a scholarship student from a blue-collar family. Alice's composure faltered briefly before the physician took over. "This way," she said steadily, focusing on the child who needed help. In the examination room, Alice checked Olivia's pulse and breathing with practiced efficiency. "How long has she been having trouble breathing?" 10 minutes ago, at a charity event," Nathan replied. "She has chronic respiratory issues. Usually her inhaler helps, but tonight was different." Alice turned to Olivia with a gentle smile. "Hi, sweetheart. I'm Dr. Monroe. Can you tell me how you're feeling?" It feels like someone put a weight on my chest, Olivia whispered. We're going to help you breathe easier with some medicine through this mask, Alice explained warmly. As Alice worked, Nathan studied her face, seeing the confidence and purposefulness that hadn't existed in medical school. She had become the doctor she'd dreamed of being. She's responding well to the albuterol, Alice said, as Olivia's breathing improved. But I want to run tests. Her oxygen saturation is still low, Alice ordered, X-rays and blood work explaining each step patiently. As they waited, uncomfortable silence filled the room. Daddy, Olivia said, her voice stronger now. Why is the doctor looking at you like she knows you but isn't sure if she should say hello? Nathan's cheeks burned. Like what, sweetheart? Alice smiled slightly. Your daughter is very observant. She gets that from her mother, Nathan said softly, immediately regretting mentioning Sarah. The X-ray technician arrived, wheeling Olivia away and leaving Nathan and Alice alone for the first time in 15 years. The silence stretched between them like a chasm. Alice organized Olivia's chart while Nathan stared out the window. She's beautiful, Alice said softly. She looks like you, but has her mother's eyes. You knew Sarah? Nathan asked, surprised. I know of her. I read about her passing. I'm sorry, no one should bury their spouse so young. Her genuine sympathy caught him off guard. The last 3 years have been difficult. Olivia seems to be handling it well, Alice observed. She's stronger than I am. Sometimes I think she's taking care of me. Olivia returned from X-rays, chattering, excitedly about the cool pictures of her bones. How do you feel now, sweetheart? Alice asked. Much better. Dr. Monroe, have you been doing this job long? About 12 years. I specialized in helping children with breathing problems. Why? Olivia asked with childlike directness. Alice paused. In medical school, I knew a little girl who had trouble breathing. Watching her struggle made me want to help kids like her. Nathan remembered Alice's sister Emma, who died of cystic fibrosis complications during Alice's second year of medical school. That's sad but beautiful, Olivia said thoughtfully. You turned something sad into something helpful. Alice smiled, touched by the child's wisdom. Sometimes the hardest things teach us how to help others. The lab results arrived. Alice's expression grew serious. Nathan, I need to speak with you privately. In the hallway, Alice explained. Olivia's white blood cell count is elevated, and her chest X-ray shows concerning inflammation. She may be developing pneumonia. Combined with her chronic respiratory issues, this could become serious quickly. Panic rose in Nathan's chest. What do we do? I want to admit her for observation and IV antibiotics. She needs monitoring for 24-48 hours. You'll be her doctor? The question carried unexpected weight. If you'd prefer someone else. No, I want you to take care of her. You're the best pediatric respiratory specialist in the city. Pride crossed Alice's face. You've heard about me? Dr. Alice Monroe, head of pediatric pulmonology, Henderson Award winner. I make it my business to know the best doctors. You've been keeping tabs on me. Professional interest, Nathan replied, though they both knew it was more. As Olivia was transferred upstairs, she murmured sleepily, Dr. Monroe is nice. She reminds me of Mommy. Not how she looked, but how she made me feel safe. Walking through the quiet corridors, Alice said, Our past won't affect how I care for Olivia. She'll receive the very best care. That's who you've always been, Alice. You put others first. In the elevator, Alice looked at him with an unreadable expression. Is it? Because I remember you having a very different opinion of my character, once upon a time. The words hung between them as the elevator climbed toward the pediatric ward, carrying them back toward a past they thought was buried forever. The pediatric ward at Mercy General had soft pastel walls and cheerful murals, a warm contrast to the medical anxiety that permeated the hospital. Olivia's fourth-floor room overlooked the city park, where street lamps illuminated peaceful walking paths. This is much nicer than the emergency room, Olivia observed as nurses helped her settle into bed. Despite her exhaustion, she remained alert, and curious. The pediatric ward is designed to be less scary, Dr. Alice Monroe explained, checking the IV line for antibiotics. We want children to feel comfortable while they're getting better. Nathan settled beside his daughter's bed, marveling at how easily Olivia connected with Alice. In the 3 years since Sarah's death, Olivia had been distant with most adults, especially women, but with Alice she was different, more open and trusting. Will you be here tomorrow? Olivia asked as Alice prepared to leave. I'll be here early to check on you, Alice promised. If you need anything during the night, the nurses will call me. Will you tell me more about that little girl who had trouble breathing like me? Alice glanced at Nathan, who nodded. Her name was Emma, my little sister. She was one of the funniest people I knew. Even when she was having trouble breathing, she could make me laugh. What happened to her? Olivia asked with fearless childhood curiosity. She got very sick, and the doctors couldn't help her. Alice said gently, but she taught me that being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you keep going even when you're scared. After Alice left, Nathan helped Olivia settle for the night. The antibiotics were working. Her breathing was easier, color returning to her cheeks. I like Dr. Monroe, Olivia said thoughtfully. She talks to me like I'm a real person, not just a sick kid, and she talks to you differently too. When she looks at you, her eyes get soft. Nathan felt his chest tighten. Even at 9, Olivia saw too much. Get some sleep, sweetheart. I think Mommy would like Dr. Monroe. She always said good people recognize other good people. Alice returned early the next morning. Nathan had dozed fitfully in the hospital chair, waking whenever Olivia stirred. The antibiotics are working, Alice confirmed after examining Olivia. Her lungs sound much clearer. Why did you become a doctor? Olivia asked as Alice made notes. Alice paused. Someone told me the best doctors understand that healing is about more than fixing what's broken. It's about giving people hope. Who told you that? Alice's eyes flicked to Nathan. Someone very smart who was going to be a doctor too, before he decided to do something else instead. Nathan felt recognition jolt through him. Those had been his words from medical school when he'd encouraged Alice to stay. After arranging breakfast for Olivia, Alice led Nathan into the hallway, her expression serious. The blood work shows. The infection is responding, but there's something else, she said. Olivia's condition is more complex than I thought. She may have a rare genetic variant of cystic fibrosis, but she's been tested. Standard screening doesn't catch all variants. There's a newer comprehensive test. If I'm right, it explains her persistent respiratory issues. What does that mean for her future? If we know exactly what we're dealing with, we can use targeted treatments that could change everything. Normal childhood, sports, no constant fear of respiratory crises. The testing takes several days and I want to keep her here for observation. If she has another episode... Nathan nodded slowly. Whatever you think is best, I trust your judgment. She's not just another patient to me, Alice said softly. Because of us? Because she's extraordinary and deserves the best chance. And yes, because of us too. 15 years ago, I made choices I thought were right. Now I'm not sure they were. We both made choices, Nathan. We both have to live with them. Do we have to live with them? Before either could pursue the thought, an alarm began beeping from Olivia's room. The alarm came from Olivia's oxygen monitor. As Nathan and Alice rushed into the room, they found Olivia sitting up in bed, her breathing rapid and shallow, her face flushed with exertion. I can't catch my breath, she gasped, her small hands clutching at the hospital gown covering her chest. Alice moved with immediate precision, checking Olivia's pulse and oxygen levels while simultaneously calling for additional support. I need a breathing treatment setup in here and call respiratory therapy, she instructed the nurse who had appeared in the doorway. Nathan felt helpless as he watched his daughter struggle. The improvement from the night before seemed to evaporate before his eyes, replaced by the terrifying reality that her condition was more serious than anyone had initially realized. What's happening? Nathan demanded, his voice sharp with panic. Her oxygen saturation is dropping. Alice explained while adjusting Olivia's position to help her breathe easier. This could be a reaction to the infection, or it could indicate that her underlying condition is more severe than we thought. The next several minutes were a blur of medical activity. Respiratory therapists arrived with nebulizer equipment. Additional monitors were connected, and Alice ordered a new round of chest x-rays. Through it all, Olivia remained conscious but frightened, her eyes seeking out her father's face for reassurance he wasn't sure he could provide. "Daddy, I'm scared," she whispered when there was a brief lull in the medical activity. Nathan took her hand, feeling how small and fragile it was in his. "Dr. Monroe is taking good care of you, sweetheart. You're going to be okay." But even as he said the words, Nathan wasn't sure he believed them. The confidence he'd felt the night before was crumbling as he watched his daughter's condition deteriorate. Alice returned with the x-ray results, her expression grim. "Nathan, I need to speak with you outside." "I don't want to leave her." Nathan protested. "The nurse will stay with her. I'll only need a minute." Reluctantly, Nathan followed Alice into the hallway, his heart pounding with anticipation of bad news. "The x-ray shows increased inflammation," Alice said without preamble. "Her lungs are more compromised than they were last night. I need to start her on stronger medications, and there's a procedure I think we should consider." "What kind of procedure?" "A bronchoscopy. We would insert a small camera into her airways to get a better look at what's causing the inflammation, and to take tissue samples for more detailed testing." Nathan felt his world spinning. "Is it dangerous?" "Any procedure carries risks, but in Olivia's case, I believe the benefits outweigh them. We need to know exactly what we're dealing with if we're going to treat her effectively." "And if something goes wrong during the procedure?" Alice hesitated for just a moment. A hesitation that Nathan caught and that sent his anxiety skyrocketing. "Nathan, I've performed hundreds of these procedures. The risks are minimal and—" "Minimal?" Nathan's voice rose, attracting the attention of passing staff members. "You're talking about putting a camera down my daughter's throat and you call the risks minimal?" "Nathan, please lower your voice. This is a hospital." "Don't tell me to lower my voice," Nathan snapped, 15 years of suppressed emotions suddenly boiling to the surface. "This is my daughter we're talking about. My daughter, who is the only family I have left." Alice's expression shifted from professional concern to something colder, more defensive. "I understand that you're frightened. Do you? Do you really understand?" Nathan's words came out like bullets aimed to wound. "Because it seems to me like you're awfully eager to experiment on my child. Maybe this is your chance to redeem yourself for all the patients you couldn't save before." The moment the words left his mouth, Nathan regretted them. He saw Alice flinch as if he'd struck her, saw the hurt and anger flash across her face before her professional mask slammed back into place. "I think you should consider having another doctor take over Olivia's care," Alice said, her voice carefully controlled. "I'll make arrangements for one of my colleagues to review her case." "Alice, I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did," Alice interrupted. "You meant every word. And maybe you're right. Maybe I am too emotionally invested in this case to make clear medical decisions." She turned to walk away, but Nathan caught her arm. "Please, don't leave her. I'm sorry. I'm scared and I'm saying things I don't mean." Alice looked down at his hand on her arm, then back up at his face. "Nathan, your daughter needs a doctor who you trust completely. If you're questioning my motives, if you think I'm using her to work through my own issues, then I'm not the right doctor for her." "You are the right doctor," Nathan said desperately. "I know you are. I can't lose her too, Alice. I can't survive losing her too." For a moment, Alice's professional composure cracked and Nathan saw the woman he had once loved, compassionate, vulnerable, understanding. But then she seemed to remember where they were, who they were now. "I'll stay on her case," Alice said, quietly. "But I need you to trust me, Nathan. I need you to trust that everything I do is in Olivia's best interest, not some attempt to prove something to you or to myself." "I do trust you," Nathan said. Though they both knew his outburst had proven otherwise, Alice nodded curtly. I'll schedule the bronchoscopy for this afternoon. I'll explain the procedure to Olivia myself and I'll answer any questions you have. But Nathan, I need you to be supportive in front of her. Your fear becomes her fear. As Alice walked away, Nathan slumped against the hallway wall, overwhelmed by the realization of how badly he had handled the situation. He had let his own panic and the ghosts of their shared past cloud his judgment, and in doing so, he had hurt the one person who was working hardest to save his daughter. When he returned to Olivia's room, she looked up at him with worried eyes. "Is everything okay, Daddy? You and Dr. Monroe seemed upset." Nathan forced a smile, Alice's words echoing in his mind. "Your fear becomes her fear. Everything's fine, sweetheart. Dr. Monroe was just explaining what we need to do to help you feel better." "She's not going to stop being my doctor, is she?" Olivia asked with the intuitive understanding that children often possess. "No, she's going to take very good care of you," Nathan assured her, hoping it was true. Later that afternoon, as they prepared for the bronchoscopy, Nathan watched Alice explain the procedure to Olivia with infinite patience and kindness. She used simple terms, drew pictures to illustrate what would happen, and answered every question with the same gentle attention she would give to a frightened adult. "It might feel a little uncomfortable," Alice told Olivia, "but it won't hurt, and it will help us understand how to make you feel better." "Will you be there the whole time?" Olivia asked. "I'll be right there with you," Alice promised, "and when you wake up, your daddy will be waiting for you." As the anesthesiologist prepared to take Olivia to the procedure room, she reached for both Nathan and Alice's hands. "Promise me you'll both be here when I wake up," she said seriously. Nathan felt his throat tighten as he realized that in his daughter's mind, Alice had already become an essential part of their small family unit. "We promise," he said, glancing at Alice, who nodded in agreement. As they wheeled Olivia away, Nathan found himself alone with Alice in the waiting area. The silence between them was heavy with unspoken apologies and lingering hurt. "Alice," Nathan began, "what I said earlier." "You were scared," Alice interrupted. "People say things they don't mean when they're scared." "But I did mean some of it," Nathan admitted. "Not the part about you experimenting on her, but the part about being afraid to lose her. She's all I have left of the life I built with Sarah. If something happens to her—" "Nothing is going to happen to her," Alice said firmly. "Not on my watch." Nathan looked at her, seeing the determination in her eyes, the absolute commitment to his daughter's well-being. "Why are you doing this? Really? After everything that happened between us, why are you putting yourself through this?" Alice was quiet for a long moment, watching the clock on the waiting room wall tick away the minutes of Olivia's procedure. "Because 15 years ago, you told me that the best doctors understand that healing is about more than fixing what's broken," she said finally. "And I think maybe all three of us, you, me, and Olivia, need some healing." The bronchoscopy was successful, revealing important information about Olivia's condition while confirming Alice's suspicions about the genetic variant. But it was what Nathan discovered later that evening that truly changed everything. Olivia was sleeping peacefully, the effects of the anesthesia wearing off gradually. Alice had assured Nathan that the procedure had gone perfectly and that they would have the detailed results within 24 hours. For the first time in days, Nathan allowed himself to hope that they were finally getting ahead of his daughter's condition. It was while going through his briefcase to find his phone charger that Nathan discovered the envelope. It had been tucked behind some legal documents, forgotten in the chaos of the past few days. His assistant must have placed it there before the charity gala, along with other routine correspondence that had seemed important just days ago but now felt insignificant. The envelope was addressed to him personally, not to Reed Corporation, and the return address made his blood run cold. Monroe Medical Consultants, Alice's private practice. With trembling hands, Nathan opened the envelope and found a detailed medical report dated 6 months earlier. As he read, the pieces of a puzzle he hadn't even known existed began to fall into place. The report outlined A comprehensive treatment plan for a pediatric patient with chronic respiratory issues, including recommendations for specialized testing, alternative medications, and innovative therapies that were still in clinical trials. The patient was identified only by initials, OR, but Nathan knew immediately that it was about Olivia. At the bottom of the report, in Alice's precise handwriting, was a note. Please consider these recommendations for your daughter's care. I believe they could significantly improve her quality of life and long-term prognosis. If you would like to discuss any of these options, I am available to consult at your convenience. Nathan's hand shook as he reached for his phone and called his assistant, Marcus. Mr. Reed, is everything all right? How is Olivia? Marcus, I need you to check something for me. 6 months ago, did I receive any medical correspondence regarding Olivia? Anything from a Dr. Alice Monroe? There was a pause on the other end of the line. Sir, you receive a lot of medical correspondence. Your instructions have always been to forward anything urgent to Dr. Patterson and file the rest. This would have been marked personal, Nathan interrupted. Not corporate correspondence. Another pause, longer this time. Mr. Reed, There may have been something. I remember thinking it was unusual because it wasn't from Dr. Patterson or any of Olivia's regular physicians. What did you do with it? I filed it, sir. You were in meetings with the FDA approval board that week, and you said not to interrupt you with anything that wasn't immediately urgent. The letter didn't seem time-sensitive. Nathan closed his eyes, feeling sick. Where did you file it? In the general medical correspondence folder. I thought if it was important, they would follow up. Nathan hung up the phone and sank into the hospital chair, the weight of what he had discovered crushing him. Alice had reached out 6 months ago, had tried to help Olivia when she didn't even have to. She had seen his daughter's case mentioned in some medical journal or conference and had taken the time to develop a comprehensive treatment plan, and he had never even seen it. How different might the last 6 months have been for Olivia if he had received Alice's recommendations? How many respiratory episodes might have been prevented? How much suffering could have been avoided? Nathan looked through the hospital room window at the sleeping figure of his daughter and felt the full weight of his failures as a father. He had been so focused on building his pharmaceutical empire, so consumed with the business of medicine, that he had missed the actual medicine that could have helped his own child. There was a soft knock on the door, and Alice entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. I thought you might need some caffeine, she said, offering him one of the cups. The cafeteria coffee isn't great, but it's strong. Nathan took the cup but didn't drink. Instead, he held up the report he had found. 6 months ago, he said, quietly, you sent me this. Alice's face went pale. Nathan, You tried to help her and I never even saw it. Alice sat down in the chair across from him, her own coffee forgotten. How did you find it? It was in my briefcase. My assistant filed it away because I told him not to interrupt me with anything that wasn't immediately urgent. Nathan's voice was thick with self-recrimination. Medical recommendations for my own daughter didn't qualify as immediately urgent. Nathan, you couldn't have known. Couldn't I? You reached out to me, Alice. You saw Olivia's case study in some medical journal and you cared enough to develop an entire treatment plan for a child who wasn't even your patient. And I was too busy making money to notice. Alice was quiet for a moment, looking at Olivia's sleeping form. I saw her case presented at a pediatric respiratory conference last year. Dr. Patterson was discussing difficult cases, and when he mentioned her family history and symptoms, I wondered if it might be her. So you spent time, your own time, developing a treatment plan for the daughter of a man who had hurt you 15 years ago. I spent time developing a treatment plan for a little girl who needed help. Alice corrected. It didn't matter who her father was. Nathan stared at the report, seeing Alice's careful notations and detailed research. Every recommendation was backed by citations, every suggestion carefully considered. It was the work of someone who cared deeply about her patient's well-being. Why didn't you follow up when I didn't respond? Alice looked uncomfortable. I assumed you had decided you didn't want my involvement. Given our history, I thought maybe you preferred to keep your family's medical care separate from us. Jesus, Alice. Nathan put his head in his hands. I'm such an idiot. You're a devoted father who was trying to protect his daughter in the best way he knew how. Alice said gently. You couldn't have known. But I should have known. I should have been paying attention. I should have been involved in every aspect of her care instead of delegating it all to assistants and other doctors. Nathan, you can't blame yourself for this, can I? You found a way to help my daughter when her own father was too busy to notice she needed help. Olivia stirred in her bed and both adults immediately focused on her. She opened her eyes slowly, still groggy from the anesthesia. Daddy? She whispered. I'm here, sweetheart, Nathan said, moving to her bedside. Dr. Monroe, are you here too? I'm here, Alice confirmed. How are you feeling? Sleepy, but I can breathe better. Olivia looked back and forth between the two adults. Were you talking? About me? We were talking about how to help you feel even better, Nathan said truthfully. Good, Olivia said, closing her eyes again. I like it when you two talk to each other nicely. After Olivia had fallen back asleep, Nathan and Alice sat in silence for several minutes. Finally, Nathan spoke. The recommendations in your report, are they still viable? Most of them, yes. Some of the clinical trials have advanced and there are even newer therapies available now. I want to implement all of them, whatever she needs, whatever it costs. Nathan, it's not about money. It's about finding the right combination of treatments for her specific condition. Then help me find them. Please. I'm asking you to take over her care completely, not just as a consulting physician, but as her primary doctor. Alice looked surprised. Nathan, that would mean you'd be part of our lives for the foreseeable future. I know that's complicated, but Olivia needs you. And I need to know she's getting the best possible care. What about Dr. Patterson? Patterson is a good doctor, but he's not you. He doesn't have your expertise, and he doesn't have your investment in her well-being. Alice was quiet for a long moment. If I take over her care, we need to establish some boundaries, professional boundaries, of course. And you need to promise me that you'll be involved, really involved, not just paying the bills and delegating to assistants. Olivia needs her father to be present for her care. Nathan nodded, understanding that this was about more than just medical treatment. I promise. And Nathan, we're going to have to work together closely. That means dealing with our past, not ignoring it or pretending it doesn't exist. Nathan met her eyes. I'm ready for that. I think I've been ready for a long time. I just didn't know it. Alice stood up, gathering her things. I'll draw up a formal treatment plan based on the updated test results. We'll start implementing the new protocols as soon as Olivia is stable enough to be discharged. Alice, Nathan called as she reached the door. Thank you, for 6 months ago, for tonight, for everything. Alice paused, her hand on the door handle. I never stopped caring about you, Nathan. Either of you. After she left, Nathan sat alone with his sleeping daughter, holding the medical report that represented so much more than treatment recommendations. It was proof that love doesn't end just because circumstances force people apart. It was evidence that some people will always care, even when caring hurts. And it was a roadmap back to hope. The final crisis came at 3:17 a.m. on Olivia's 4th night in the hospital. Nathan was dozing fitfully in the chair beside her bed when the monitor alarms jolted him awake. Olivia was sitting bolt upright, gasping for air with a desperation that made his blood freeze. I can't breathe, Daddy, she wheezed, her small hands clawing at her throat. I can't breathe. Nathan hit the call button repeatedly while trying to help Olivia sit forward, remembering Alice's instructions about positioning. But this was different from her previous episodes. Worse, more frightening. Alice arrived within minutes, still in scrubs from another emergency case. She took one look at Olivia and immediately began barking orders to the nurses who had followed her into the room. Get me an emergency intubation kit and call the respiratory team, she commanded. And I need the crash cart in here now. What's happening? Nathan demanded, his voice raw with panic. Her airway is compromising, Alice explained while examining Olivia's throat with a small flashlight. This is a complication we hoped wouldn't happen, but we need to act fast. Nathan watched in horror as medical personnel filled the small room. Olivia's eyes were wide with terror, and she kept reaching for him even as Alice worked to assess her breathing. "Nathan," Alice said, her voice calm despite the chaos around them. "I need to intubate her. It's the only way to ensure she can breathe properly." "Is it safe?" Nathan asked, though he knew there was no real choice. "There are risks with any procedure, but the alternative—" Alice didn't finish the sentence, but Nathan understood. The alternative was losing Olivia. "Do it," he said. "Nathan, there's something else. The intubation is a temporary solution. Looking at her latest scans, I believe Olivia needs immediate surgery to remove some scar tissue that's developed in her airways. It's a delicate procedure, and there are only a few surgeons in the country who specialize in this particular operation." Nathan felt the room spinning around him. How delicate. Alice met his eyes, and in them, he saw honesty without false comfort. "Nathan, I won't lie to you. This surgery carries significant risks, but without it, Olivia's condition will continue to deteriorate." "How significant?" "There's a 15% chance of complications that could be serious." Nathan understood the medical euphemism. A 15% chance that his daughter might not survive the operation. But there's an 85% chance that she'll not only survive, but thrive. Alice continued. "With this surgery and the new treatment protocols we've discussed, Olivia could have a completely normal life." Nathan looked at his daughter, who was now calmer thanks to the medications Alice had administered but still struggling to breathe properly. "Who would perform the surgery?" he asked. "Dr. James Morrison at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. He's the best pediatric thoracic surgeon in the country." "When?" "We'd need to transfer her there tonight. Dr. Morrison has agreed to take her case on an emergency basis." Nathan closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the decision crushing him. Everything in him wanted to find another way, to avoid the risk, to keep searching for a safer alternative. But looking at Olivia's frightened face, he knew there wasn't time for safer alternatives. "Alice," he said quietly, "if this were your daughter, what would you do?" Alice was quiet for a moment, understanding the trust implicit in his question. "I would authorize the surgery," she said finally, "and I would be grateful that someone like Dr. Morrison was available to perform it. Will you come with us to Philadelphia?" "Nathan, I'm not on staff there. I couldn't—" "Please." Nathan's voice broke. "I need someone there who knows her case, who cares about her. I need you there." Alice nodded slowly. "I'll call Dr. Morrison and arrange to assist. If he agrees, I'll be with you every step of the way." The next few hours were a blur of medical transport preparations and difficult phone calls. Nathan contacted his lawyer to update Olivia's medical directives, called his assistant to cancel all meetings for the foreseeable future, and tried to explain to his frightened daughter why they needed to go to another hospital. "The doctor there is a specialist," Nathan told Olivia as they prepared for the ambulance transfer. "He knows exactly how to fix your breathing problems." "Will Dr. Monroe come too?" Olivia asked, her voice muffled by the oxygen mask. "Yes, she's coming with us." "Good," Olivia said, relaxing slightly. "I feel safer when she's here." During the ambulance ride to the helicopter that would take them to Philadelphia, Alice sat beside Olivia while Nathan held his daughter's hand. The three of them formed a small circle of connection in the sterile environment of the medical transport. "Dr. Monroe," Olivia said weakly, "if something happens to me during the surgery, will you take care of my daddy?" Nathan felt his heart break at the maturity in his 9-year-old daughter's voice. "Nothing is going to happen to you," Alice said firmly. "But yes, I'll take care of your daddy, and he'll take care of me too if I need it." "Like a family?" Alice glanced at Nathan, who nodded slightly. "Like a family," she confirmed. At Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Dr. Morrison proved to be everything Alice had promised: skilled, experienced, and genuinely caring. He explained the surgery in detail, answered every question Nathan could think of, and projected a confidence that helped ease some of Nathan's fears. Dr. Monroe will be assisting, Dr. Morrison explained. She knows Olivia's case better than anyone, and her expertise in pediatric respiratory conditions will be invaluable. As they prepared to take Olivia into surgery, she insisted on a moment alone with Nathan and Alice. "I want to tell you both something," she said seriously. "If I don't wake up..." "Olivia, don't talk like that," Nathan interrupted. "Daddy, I need to say this," Olivia insisted with the firmness that reminded Nathan so much of Sarah. "If I don't wake up, I want you to know that these have been the best days since Mommy died. Having Dr. Monroe here, seeing you two take care of me together, it felt like having a family again." Nathan couldn't speak past the lump in his throat. "And Dr. Monroe," Olivia continued, "I want you to know that you make my daddy smile in a way he hasn't smiled since Mommy died. If I don't wake up, promise me you won't let him go back to being sad and alone." "You're going to wake up," Alice said, her own voice thick with emotion. "And when you do, we'll all be here waiting for you." "Promise me anyway," Olivia insisted. Alice looked at Nathan, then back at Olivia. "I promise." As they wheeled Olivia toward the operating room, Nathan felt his legs give out. Alice caught him, supporting his weight as they watched his daughter disappear behind the surgical doors. "She's going to be okay," Alice said, though Nathan could hear the fear in her voice too. "How can you be sure?" "Because she has too much to live for. And because Dr. Morrison is the best, and because I won't let anything happen to her." Nathan turned to look at Alice, seeing in her face the same desperate love for his daughter that he felt. "Alice," what Olivia said, "we don't need to talk about that now," Alice said quickly. "Yes, we do. Because if something happens to her, if we lose her, I need you to know that she's right. You do make me smile in a way I haven't smiled in years. You make me feel like myself again." Alice stared at him, and Nathan could see years of carefully constructed walls beginning to crumble. "Nathan, we can't do this now, not here, not like this." "When then? When do we stop letting fear and pride and past mistakes keep us from what we both know is right?" Before Alice could answer, Dr. Morrison appeared in the waiting room doorway. "The surgery is complete," he announced, and Nathan felt his heart stop. And it was a complete success. Nathan sank into a chair, overwhelmed with relief. "She's okay?" "She's more than okay. We were able to remove all the scar tissue, and her airways are now completely clear. With the new treatment protocols Dr. Monroe has developed, Olivia should be able to live a completely normal life. Can we see her?" "She's in recovery now. She should be awake within the hour." As Dr. Morrison left, Nathan turned to Alice, who was crying openly for the first time since he'd known her. "She's going to be okay," Alice whispered. "We're all going to be okay," Nathan replied, taking her hands in his. "All three of us." Olivia woke up 3 hours later with a clarity and ease of breathing she hadn't experienced in years. The first thing she did was take a deep breath, the kind of full, satisfying breath that had been denied to her for so long. "Daddy?" she called, her voice stronger than it had been in days. Nathan was at her side immediately, with Alice close behind. "I'm here, sweetheart. How do you feel?" "Like I can breathe," Olivia said wonderingly. "Really breathe? Is that normal?" Alice smiled, checking Olivia's vitals. "That's exactly what we were hoping for. Dr. Morrison says the surgery went perfectly." "So I'm fixed? You're going to be better than new," Alice assured her. "With the new medications and therapies we've planned, you should be able to do anything other kids your age do." Olivia's eyes lit up. "Really? I could play soccer? Go swimming?" "If that's what you want to do," Nathan said, marveling at the idea of his daughter being able to participate in normal childhood activities. "Dr. Monroe," Olivia said, "will you still be my doctor when we go home?" Alice glanced at Nathan, who nodded encouragingly. "If you want me to be." "I do, but I want you to be more than my doctor too." "What do you mean?" Olivia looked back and forth between the two adults. I mean, I want you to be part of our family, really part of it. Nathan felt his breath catch. Even recovering from surgery, Olivia was still trying to take care of everyone around her. Sweetheart, Nathan said gently, that's not something you need to worry about right now. But I do worry about it, Olivia said seriously. Daddy, you've been sad for so long. Even when you smile, your eyes stay sad. But when Dr. Monroe is here, your eyes smile too. Nathan looked at Alice, seeing his own emotions reflected in her face. And Dr. Monroe, Olivia continued, you take care of everyone else. But who takes care of you? Daddy could do that. He's really good at taking care of people he loves. Alice sat down on the edge of Olivia's bed. Olivia, your father and I have a complicated history. All the best families have complicated histories, Olivia said with 9-year-old wisdom. That's what makes them interesting. Nathan couldn't help but laugh. Where did you learn that? From watching you and Mommy. She used to tell me stories about how you two met and all the problems you had to solve before you could be together. She said the problems made your love stronger because you had to choose each other every day. Nathan felt tears prick his eyes. Sarah had indeed told Olivia their love story, including the obstacles they'd overcome and the commitment it had taken to build their life together. Your mother was a wise woman, Alice said softly. She was. And she would have liked you, Dr. Monroe. She always said that people who dedicate their lives to helping others are the best kind of people. How can you be so sure she would have liked me? Alice asked. Because you saved me, and because you make Daddy happy. Mommy would want Daddy to be happy again. The simple truth of a child's perspective cut through all the adult complications that Nathan and Alice had been wrestling with. Sometimes love was just that simple. One person caring for another, choosing to be present, choosing to stay. Olivia, Nathan said carefully, if Dr. Monroe were to become part of our family, that would be a big change. Are you sure you're ready for that? Daddy, I've been ready since the first night in the hospital when I saw how you two looked at each other. You love her, don't you? Nathan met Alice's eyes. Yes, I do. I always have. And Dr. Monroe, you love Daddy too, don't you? Alice hesitated for only a moment. Yes, I do. Then what's the problem? Nathan laughed again, struck by how easily his daughter could cut through years of complicated emotions and past hurts. You're right, sweetheart, there is no problem. He turned to Alice. Alice, I know this isn't the most romantic setting, and I know we have a lot to work through, but I don't want to wait anymore. I don't want to let fear keep us apart for another 15 years. Nathan, I love you. I've always loved you. And I want us to be a family. You, me, and Olivia. If you'll have us. Alice looked at Olivia, who was watching the exchange with bright, hopeful eyes. Are you sure this is what you want? She asked the little girl. I'm sure, Olivia said without hesitation. We belong together. I knew it the first night when you took care of me and Daddy both. Alice turned back to Nathan. It won't be easy. We'll have to take it slowly, figure out how to blend our lives together. We have time, Nathan said. We have all the time in the world. Alice smiled, and Nathan saw the woman he had fallen in love with in medical school. Brilliant, compassionate, ready to take on any challenge. Then yes, she said. Yes, I want us to be a family. Olivia clapped her hands together weakly, tired but delighted. Can we tell the nurses? I want everyone to know that my daddy and Dr. Monroe are going to get married. Whoa, sweetheart, Nathan laughed, and we haven't talked about marriage yet. Well, you should, Olivia said matter-of-factly. Dr. Monroe needs to know you're serious. Alice burst out laughing. Your daughter is quite the negotiator. She gets that from her mother too, Nathan said fondly. As the afternoon progressed, they talked about practical things, how Alice would transition to being Olivia's primary physician, how they would navigate their new relationship, what it would mean for both of their careers. But underneath all the logistics was a deep sense of rightness, as if pieces of a puzzle were finally falling into place. Dr. Morrison stopped by during his evening rounds, pleased with Olivia's progress and amazed by her rapid recovery. "I have to say," he told Nathan and Alice privately, "in 30 years of practice, I've rarely seen a child bounce back this quickly from this type of surgery. She's remarkable. She's had a lot of motivation to get better," Nathan said, looking at Alice. "Good medical care and a strong support system make all the difference," Dr. Morrison agreed. "She's lucky to have both." That evening, as Olivia slept, peacefully, breathing easily for the first time in years, Nathan and Alice sat together in the quiet hospital room. "Are we really doing this?" Alice asked. "If you want to," Nathan replied. "I know it's complicated." "Everything worthwhile is complicated," Alice interrupted. "That doesn't mean we shouldn't try." "I want to do it right this time," Nathan said. "I want to be the man you deserve, the father Olivia deserves." "You already are, Nathan. You just needed to trust yourself and trust us." Nathan took her hand, marveling at how natural it felt. "I love you, Alice Monroe." "I love you too, Nathan. Read. All of you. The brilliant businessman, the devoted father, and the man who still believes in second chances." "Actually," Nathan said with a smile, "I think this might be our third or fourth chance. But who's counting?" Alice laughed quietly, mindful of their sleeping daughter. "As long as we keep getting chances, I'll keep taking them." Outside the hospital window, the city of Philadelphia sparkled in the night, full of possibilities and new beginnings. Inside the room, a new family was being born. Not through DNA or legal documents, but through choice, love, and the simple decision to stay together through whatever came next. 6 months later, the park across from Mercy General Hospital was alive with the colors of early autumn. The maple trees had turned brilliant shades of red and gold, and the afternoon sun cast everything in a warm, golden light that made the world seem full of possibility. Olivia ran ahead of Nathan and Alice, her laughter echoing across the playground as she chased a group of children from her new soccer team. The ease with which she moved, the way she could run without stopping to catch her breath, still amazed Nathan every time he saw it. "Daddy, Dr. Alice." "Watch this," Olivia called, using the name she had settled on for Alice, not quite Mom, but more than Dr. Monroe. It was uniquely theirs. This family they had built from unexpected circumstances and second chances. Alice and Nathan watched as Olivia executed a perfect cartwheel, sticking the landing with a grin that reminded Nathan so much of Sarah that his heart ached with gratitude rather than loss. "She's incredible," Alice said, her arm linked through Nathan's as they walked. "She is, and she's healthy, really, truly healthy." It had taken months of adjustments, new medications, breathing therapies, and regular checkups, but Olivia's transformation had been remarkable. The genetic testing had confirmed Alice's initial diagnosis, and the targeted treatments had worked, better than anyone had dared to hope. "Nathan," Alice said as they found a bench where they could watch Olivia play, "there's something I want to talk to you about." Nathan felt a familiar flutter of anxiety. Even after months of happiness, part of him still waited for the other shoe to drop. "What is it?" Alice smiled, understanding his concern. "Nothing bad. Something good, actually. Something I've been thinking about for a while." "Okay." Alice took his hands in hers, a gesture that had become as natural as breathing. "I got a call from Children's Hospital in Boston yesterday. They're opening a new pediatric respiratory center and they've offered me the position of director." Nathan felt his heart sink. "Boston? That's 4 hours away by car, yes." "Alice, I can't ask you to turn down an opportunity like that. Your career." "Nathan, let me finish," Alice interrupted gently. "I told them I'd consider the position, but only if they were willing to create a satellite program here. A research and treatment center that would allow children like Olivia to receive cutting-edge care without having to travel to Boston." Nathan stared at her. And they said yes. They want to establish the program here at Mercy General, with me as the director. It would mean more resources for pediatric respiratory patients, better research opportunities, and a chance to help more families like ours. "Alice, that's incredible." There's more, Alice said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. They want to name the program after Emma, the Emma Monroe Center for Pediatric Respiratory Medicine. Nathan felt tears sting his eyes. Alice's sister would finally have the memorial she deserved, not just a dedication, but a living testament that would help save other children. What did you tell them? I told them I needed to discuss it with my family first. The word family still sent a thrill through Nathan. After so many years of feeling alone, even when surrounded by business associates and acquaintances, he now had a real family again. What do you think Olivia would say? He asked. Why don't we ask her? They called Olivia over, and she bounded across the playground with the energy that still amazed Nathan every day. What's up? She asked, dropping onto the bench between them. Dr. Alice has some exciting news to share, Nathan said. Alice explained about the job offer and the new medical center, watching Olivia's face carefully for her reaction. So you would help even more kids like me? Olivia asked when Alice finished. That's the idea. And it would be named after your sister Emma? Yes. Olivia was quiet for a moment, thinking with the seriousness that Nathan had come to recognize as her way of processing important information. I think it's perfect, she said finally. Emma would like knowing that her name was helping other kids, wouldn't she? I think she would, Alice agreed, her voice thick with emotion. And you wouldn't have to move away? No, I wouldn't have to move away. Then you should definitely do it, Olivia declared. But can I help sometimes? Maybe I could visit the kids who are scared and tell them that the treatments really work. Nathan looked at Alice, seeing his own pride and love reflected in her expression. Olivia had inherited her mother's generous spirit and her father's determination to make a difference. I think that would be wonderful, Alice said. The other children would benefit so much from meeting someone who's been through what they're experiencing. Daddy, what do you think? Olivia asked. I think, Nathan said carefully, that I'm proud of both of you. And I think this family keeps getting better and better. Olivia grinned. Speaking of family, when are you going to ask Dr. Alice to marry you? Nathan nearly choked on his coffee. Olivia? What? It's been 6 months. Grandpa Reed always said that in business, timing is everything. Alice laughed. Your grandfather said that? Well, Daddy told me Grandpa said that, and this seems like good timing to me. Nathan looked at Alice, who was trying hard not to laugh. She has a point about timing. Does she? Nathan stood up, suddenly serious. Actually, she does. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box, causing both Alice and Olivia to gasp. Nathan, what? Alice Monroe, Nathan said, dropping to one knee right there in the park. You saved my daughter's life. But more than that, you saved my life too. You reminded me that love doesn't end just because we make mistakes, and that families can be built from forgiveness and second chances. Alice's hands flew to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. I love you. Olivia loves you. And we want you to be part of our family officially, legally, forever. Will you marry me? Say, yes, Olivia shouted, loud enough that other families in the park turned to look. Alice laughed through her tears. Yes, of course, yes. Nathan slipped the ring onto her finger, a simple solitaire that caught the afternoon light perfectly, and kissed her as Olivia cheered, and the other park visitors burst into spontaneous applause. I love you, Alice whispered against his lips. I love you too, both of you. All three of us, Olivia corrected, inserting herself into their embrace. We're a family now, a real family. As they sat together on the bench, watching the sun begin to set over the city that had brought them back together, Nathan reflected on the journey that had led them here. A year ago, he had been a successful but lonely man, focused on business and trying to be enough for his daughter while fighting his own grief. Now he had a fiancée who understood both his dreams and his fears, a daughter who was healthy and happy, and a future that felt full of possibility rather than obligation. Dr. Alice, Olivia said, using the name that would probably stick even after the wedding. Do you think my mom would approve of us being a family? Alice considered the question seriously. understanding that Olivia needed a real answer, not just reassurance. I think your mother loved your father very much, and her greatest wish would be for both of you to be happy and loved, Alice said finally. I think she would be glad that you don't have to face the world alone anymore. And I think, Olivia said with the wisdom that continued to amaze the adults in her life, that Mommy sent you to us. Not right away, because we weren't ready yet, but when we really needed you. Nathan felt the truth of his daughter's words settle into his heart. Sarah had always believed that everything happened for a reason, that love found a way to persist even in the face of loss and separation. Maybe, Olivia was right. Maybe Sarah had somehow orchestrated this reunion, this second chance at love and family. Or maybe it was just life unfolding the way it was meant to, bringing together the people who belonged together when the time was finally right. Either way, Nathan was grateful, for the past that had shaped them, for the present that fulfilled them, and for the future that stretched ahead, full of promise and love. As they walked home together through the gathering dusk, Olivia's small hands holding both of theirs, Nathan realized that this was what happiness looked like. Not the absence of struggle or loss, but the presence of love that was strong enough to overcome both. Their family hadn't been born from easy circumstances or simple love stories. It had been forged in hospital rooms and difficult conversations, built from trust that had to be earned back and forgiveness that had to be chosen again and again. But it was real, and it was theirs, and it was forever. "Hey, Daddy," Olivia said, as they reached their front door. "What do you think Emma would think about having a medical center named after her?" Nathan looked at Alice, who was gazing up at the stars just beginning to appear in the darkening sky. "I think," Alice said softly, "that Emma would be proud to know that her memory is helping other children breathe easier, love deeper, and hold on to hope even when things seem impossible. Just like you helped us," Olivia said simply. And as they went inside together, father, daughter, and the woman who had brought them both back to life, Nathan knew that some love stories don't end with loss. Some of them get second chapters, written by people brave enough to believe that the best is yet to come. This story reminds us that life's most profound gifts often come disguised as our greatest challenges. Nathan thought he had lost his chance at love, but discovered that true love never really leaves. It just waits for the right moment to return. Alice believed she had chosen her path years ago, but learned that sometimes our paths choose us instead. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of your own second chances or the families you've built from love rather than circumstance, please share it with someone who needs to hear that hope is real. Like this video to help us reach more people who might need this reminder that love endures, that healing happens, and that sometimes the most beautiful families are the ones that